I want to talk about the 6 components of fitness as far as how I see them. And I want you to understand that my approach to fitness is all about simplicity. There's a lot of folks online that are doing amazing things and they have my respect. But what I want to, help people with are the basics. Because if you can master the basics, you're way ahead of the game. And then if you want to get more advanced and do some of the amazing acrobatic things that you can see out there, that's an opportunity that's there for you. I'm not, however, going to be spending a lot of time with those type of things fitness related. So here's my world famous whiteboard. For those of you that have been following me, you see it just about every day. I post my daily activities on here. But today I'm using it to show what I feel are the 6 major components of fitness. Number 1, you've got pushing. Number 2, you've got pulling. Number 3, you have core. Number 4, legs. Number 5, mobility. And number 6, aerobics. Now this is in no particular order or priority. These all need to be addressed, in my opinion, when you're pursuing fitness. I'm going to talk a little bit about each, and then I'm going to break each down and give you the examples of what these categories look like and how you can maybe incorporate them together, at least some of them together, but how you want to focus on as a goal to hit all these areas on a regular basis. So stay tuned. So we'll start with pushing. We all know what pushing is. All the ranges that we can push. Now this is a normal movement of everyday life. If this is an area that you've neglected, there is a great opportunity for you to get stronger in this range of everyday normal movement. I will show some examples of pushing later on in the video, but let's start thinking about, are you doing enough for your pushing exercises? Let's talk pushing exercises. What is the basic pushing exercise? It's a push-up. We all know what a push-up looks like. Down and up, down and up. There are all sorts of modified variations of this. But if you're a guy or a lady and you're doing push-ups off of your knees, like this, and you've been doing it for years, that's not going to work. You've got to make the exercise tougher so that you can build up enough strength so you can do a regular push-up, a real push-up, if you will. So, basic push-up, and there's all kinds of variations. Your hand grip, right? You can do a wide grip. You can do a narrow grip. You can put your hands back and work your triceps more. You can get in position and do push-ups like this. You can take your feet, put them on a raised surface, do push-ups like that. My point is this: the push-up is a very basic exercise. If you're not getting stronger and you're not being able to do more push-ups or more difficult push-ups, you need to increase the difficulty. I'm going to show you my favorite difficult push-up. I call it a hold and push. Get into the push-up position, come down to the bottom, and I hold, and I count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And then I come up. And then I repeat this. Go down, count to 10, and then up. I can't even do 20 of these because they're that difficult. So if you think that push-ups are not a big deal, you want to go get dumbbells, barbells, machines, whatever it is, master a basic push-up before you start telling me about all this other fancy stuff you want to do. Because if you can't do a few push-ups, you're not strong enough to support your own body's weight. So pushing exercise starts with push-ups. So next we'll take a look at using dumbbells to work pushing movements. And these are going to be for your chest and for your triceps and the front of your shoulders. I prefer to use dumbbells and teach you to use dumbbells because it's a more natural range of motion than using a barbell. And I think we've all seen this in the gym. you basically press up and down, up and down. You want to think of maybe 10 to 15 reps, with the last couple being very challenging. Up and down. The other thing you can do is you can incline the bench, you can decline the bench. There's a whole variety of things to do. But a basic movement, pushing movement for your chest, for your front of your shoulders, and for your triceps, the back of your arms, dumbbell presses. So we'll do some more pushing work, and this time we'll be focusing specifically on the shoulders. So we'll be doing a basic overhead press like this, working your shoulders. We got the bench set up with a back support, so that's a good option if you have this type of bench. But what you can also do in this position is work all three heads of your shoulders. So you can do front raises, that works the front part of the shoulder. You can do side raises, works the side of the shoulder. And then you can also lean forward and do this type of movement, and it works the rear head or part of the shoulder. And what's nice about that is you can really build your shoulders up. And if your goal is to have a nice V shape where your shoulders are broad and your waist is narrow, these are basic exercises that can get you there. So shoulder work and pushing work with dumbbells and a bench. And then we have my favorite pushing exercise, dips. And if you're not doing dips yet and you're working on all sorts of other contraptions, machines, etc., you really got to go visit the dip rack, because this is a superior exercise, guys and ladies. And a basic dip. Get yourself up and you come down and up, down and up. Woo. And when you get strong enough with that, you get one of those weight belts, hang a couple of plates from that, and you increase the resistance. If you're not doing dips, you really need to think about adding them. So next we'll talk about pulling, which is the opposite of pushing, but just as important, because pulling movement is part of everyday normal activity. And if you're not doing pulling work yet, this is a great opportunity to get better, to get stronger. And I'll be showing you some pulling exercises later in this video. So we can talk about pulling exercises now. My favorite pulling exercise is the pull-up. Not everyone can do pull-ups, but I'm going to show you the regular pull-up and then a couple of options to build up strength that could get you to be able to do a pull-up. So first we'll do the basic pull-up. You've all seen this. You hang and you go up and down. That's your basic pull-up. If you can't do a pull-up yet, two options. Get up on top of the bar however you need to. And one is to just hold yourself. Just hold. And you count. That's one option. The second option is to do a negative or a decline. So you get up on top of the bar again. And then you lower yourself and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down. That's one rep. Get back up there and do it a few times. If you do both of those exercises, at some point, you will be able to do a pull-up. So that's my start for our pulling exercises. To continue with our pulling exercises, we just covered the pull-up, which is pulling in this range of motion. But remember, pulling is in all these ranges of motion. So I'm going to show you a different range right now with what I call a body weight row, using these dip bars or these parallel bars. And this is something that you could get for use at home. So what you want to do is get between the bars, get your hands up here, extend your body out, and you pull. See that pulling movement? You can make this more difficult by putting your feet up onto a bench. Then you're pulling more weight. Or if you want to make it easier, just bring your feet in closer to your body and it makes it a little easier. But this is a great pulling exercise for building those pulling muscles, which works your back, your lats, your biceps. Great exercise. We'll wrap up our pulling exercises with the bicep curl. This is in the same category. We've all seen people curling. Here we're using dumbbells. You can use a barbell as well. You can curl them together like this. You can curl them alternately. You could switch the grip around and do hammer curls. Bicep curls are a very popular exercise. Most people that exercise and work out like to have a nice bicep muscle to show off. Next, we can talk about the core, our abdominal muscles. These are important. Now, a lot of people think of your abs as, do I have a big belly or do I have a six-pack? But reality is, the middle of the body is our core, and it supports so many things. It supports all of our organs. It supports our spine. It's the middle of the body. If you don't have a strong core, again, that's a tremendous opportunity to get better. And I will be sharing some great core exercises later on in this video. Next, we can talk about core, working our abs. I like a very basic set of exercises here. There are literally hundreds of things you can do for your abs. I like to keep things basic. My favorite movement is this. And make your abs do the work. Don't throw yourself up. If you want to make it harder, bend your knees a little bit. If you want to make it harder, move your arms back, like to here. And feel the abs lifting your body. It's a very short range of motion. You want to keep that tension. The hardest way to do this is with your arms all the way back and keep them back. I can't even do it. I have goals too. The other variations of this position is you can do alternating like this. You can do together like this, keeping your low back pressed into the floor. You can do in and outs, in and out. You can do crosses. You can do all sorts of varieties in this position on a nice comfortable mat. The key to ab exercise is make sure you feel your abs doing the lifting, doing the work. Don't cheat by throwing your body forward or making your legs do all the work. Make your abs work. If you do this on a regular basis, you can get a nice flat stomach. If you do these on a regular basis and you clean up your diet, you might see your abs again. So this is my suggestion for core work. But again, there are many, many, many core exercises out there. This is just what I prefer, nice and basic. Next, we'll talk about legs or our low body. Now, legs are critical because we are mobile creatures because of our legs. We walk, we run. If you don't have strong legs, that is another opportunity to get better. And I'll be sharing exercises with you that can help get your legs stronger. But what I want to emphasize with leg strength is this is what challenges our population as we get older. A lot of older folks don't do any sort of exercise, certainly don't do any strengthening exercises. And you've heard about the person who's tripped and fallen and broken a hip, and weeks later or months later, they passed away because they could not recover from that fall. The reason they fell is their legs could not support them. So I want you to start thinking about leg strength as something that's super important for everyday normal life, but as we age, it gets neglected. And that's why you see older people shuffling around in walkers, walking around, or sitting in a wheelchair and wheeling themselves around, or those little mobile carts. You don't want that. You want to be able to carry your own weight. So leg strength, super important. So next we're going to cover some basic leg exercises. We're going to do the basic squat and the lunge. These exercises work your quad muscles, they work your rear end, they work your hamstrings. All in different ways, but this is basic exercises. So the squat, everybody knows what a squat is. Squat and down. And you can do these exercises with body weight or with weights. So you squat, right? Next is your lunge. Step out, down and back. Down and back. So those are two very basic exercises to work your quads, your rear end, and your hamstrings. Next, I'll show you another favorite exercise of mine for our low body. It's called the hip bridge. I like to do it on an elevated surface. You can use a bench, a box, a chair, whatever you like. And what you do is you lay down on your back, get your feet up onto the bench. Once you're here, you're going to just lift your hips up and down, up and down. You want to make it more difficult? Go to single leg, up and down, up and down. This exercise is really tremendous for your hamstrings and for your glutes. You squeeze at the top. Next, I want to talk about mobility. Now, this is the newest area for me with my fitness activities. I have neglected mobility most of my adult life. And now that I'm older, I have lost a lot of my capabilities in that category. And thank God there are tons of people online that are literally experts in just the subject of mobility. And mobility simply means how well your body moves through all its normal ranges of motion. Most of us out there, and you included, you probably have no idea what your body's capable of. So I'm going to be looking into mobility, showing you some great examples, showing you what I do for mobility, and hopefully that'll encourage you to start working on your own personal mobility. Because again, as we age, our mobility does not increase, it decreases, and it limits our ability to live a vibrant life. So mobility, check that box. Okay, we're going to take a look at some mobility movements. This is also warm-up. This is also cool down. This also incorporates stretching. I like to call it mobility. I'm not real technical in this area yet, but I do incorporate these things on a regular basis, and it's got my body feeling much better. Some of these you'll recognize from yoga, if you do yoga. So the first one is called, I think it's a child's pose. And you just get into this position like this, stretch out your arms, and just sit back and just hold this position. This is a really nice position. It feels great when you do it. So that's the first one. I hold all these for about, 20 to 30 seconds. Next one, we have a cat. Arch your back, high up as you can go, and then you go the reverse. Arch your back, head up, cow. So cat, and then cow. The next one I like is, I think it's called an Asian sit, where you basically sit on your heels. I couldn't do this when I started a few months back with mobility, but you just sit, it's stretching out, you can just feel it in front of your legs, stretching out your ankles. It's also good for your knees. There's exercise you can do where you just come down in this position and back up. And then when you really get good at it, you can go back and you can go all the way back and then come up. My goal is to lay flat on my back, but I'm not there yet. Next, what I like to do is get into this straddled position and then just lean forward, stretching my groin muscles, trying to get my knee as far ahead of my toe as I can, and then I come back. And I stretch again. Feel that stretch and come back. I do that about 6 times. On the 6th one, I go forward and then I hold. Try again to get the knee as far ahead of the toe as I can and just stay into that stretch, 20, 30 seconds. That's a good one. After that, I come up a little bit, put this hand down. This side, I take this arm and I swing up and I twist my torso as far as I can. Feel that twist. And then I come down and I go the other way and I reach this way and I twist the opposite way. I do this about 2 to 3 times. And this is a real good one. Really has been helping my back loosen up because it's very tight. So that's a good series of mobility exercises. Here's a couple more. This next one is, I think it's called a scorpion, I'm not sure, but you get your front leg out like this, back leg is trailing, and you just kind of lean into this. Very challenging for me. But once you get into it, you can feel the stretch. You have your back leg behind, trailing, and then just lean into it. Lean into it. Ooh, that's a good one. Obviously do both sides. The other one I like is you spread your legs as wide as you can, and then you just lean into it. Kind of push your pelvis towards the floor. Kind of get a rocking action going like this. Ooh, that's a good stretch for the hips, the groin, the hip flexors. And then you can do this with your feet. This enhances the movement. This is another really good one. Once I'm done doing this, then what I like to do is come up and get into this position and then just sit and try to sit all the way down. It's kind of hard for me. But these are just basic mobility exercises. I want to strongly encourage you. Go to YouTube, go to Instagram. There are experts all over the place there, and they will teach you some awesome stuff. That's where I'm learning my mobility. So good luck with your mobility. Let's talk aerobic activity or cardiovascular fitness. Now, my definition of cardiovascular exercise is getting out of breath for at least 20 minutes and doing it several times a week. I personally play basketball for my cardio. I run wind sprints for my cardio, and then my resistance training workouts, some of them are at a very high pace, very high intensity, and I'm out of breath the entire time. Whatever you choose to do, your cardiovascular exercise is up to you. But I do have one issue. I see a lot of people who focus just on cardiovascular exercise. They're runners, or they're doing the classes at the gym, the aerobics classes at the gym, and they're neglecting strength training and mobility training. You cannot neglect those. They're not just something that comes along with the jogging and running or comes along with the aerobics class. You need to specifically do strength training, specifically do mobility training. And if you're an obsessive runner and you're locked in, you're hooked on running, I understand that. It's an addiction. But I got to tell you, at some point, if you're neglecting the strength training and the mobility training, it's going to come back to bite you. And I don't want that for you. So open your mind up to getting a little more involved with strength training specifically and mobility training specifically. I think you'll be better off because you'll be more well-rounded and your body will hold up longer for you. So give it a try.